Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another Reloading Chat, and I came across a news story through Breitbart. Now, some people go, oh, well, you can't use them as a news source. Sure you can, I like Breitbart. But I did check, and there were other news agencies over in Europe who were reporting this, so it's not like they're the only ones covering it. But apparently, there was a website in Germany that was selling a lot of illegal guns. It looked like mostly shotguns and ammo, but there was a host of other firearms that were being sold to people there because they're wanting to protect themselves from the migrants and refugees and the problems they're having over there in Europe. And, of course, the stance over there is, oh, see, this is just a right-wing scare. See how easily manipulated these people are to buy products. But, they were buying necessary products, and apparently the prices were pretty reasonable. It's really messed up and scary that a country like Germany actually has to have illegal guns for these people to defend themselves. I mean, when you stop and think about it, what in the firearm industry is Germany noted for? H&K. Germany is where H&K is manufactured. It's a German-based company. All right, H&K supplies some of the finest militaries in the world, first world countries. H&K makes high-end firearms. In fact, they are relatively expensive compared to most other brands. They're extremely high quality. They're known for their very high quality forging processes for barrels. I mean, H&K is one of the best companies in the world. Tons of our SWAT teams, tons of our special forces guys use H&K weapons. And I've owned several H&K firearms in my life, and yeah, they make outstanding stuff. It's just that, I would rather get something that I think is just as good for a little less money. It's the only reason I don't use them still these days. But they're outstanding. They make millions and millions of firearms every year right there in Germany, and yet the citizens don't have access to it. Citizens don't have access to it. And that's really a major problem, that a supposedly civilized country like that, a first world country, a fairly wealthy first world country, and the citizens don't have access to products that their own company manufactures, that their country manufactures right there, that they could be using for self-defense. They don't have any sort of self-defense laws. They don't have firearm ownership in place to defend themselves. It's absolutely outrageous. And then you see the immigration laws as they've implemented and all of the rapes and the violence and everything else that has resulted from all these Islamic immigrants coming in and refugees and migrants. And then, people act like it's a crazy right-wing response to want to arm themselves. I think Europe needs to understand that there are more and more people who are rejecting and rebelling against this far leftist socialist type agendas. A lot of people are seeing how dangerous they are. They're seeing how they're reducing their overall quality of life. They're reducing their security. They're making people unsafe. This obsession with diversity is actually ludicrous. It would be one thing if there was an obsession with diversity worldwide, but when you only have certain countries and regions that are the only ones who care about diversity, it's really cultural suicide in those regions to do that. And people have to understand that there's going to be rebellion against that eventually, particularly when you start bringing in tons of migrants and things from cultures that are completely incompatible with Western lifestyles, Western ideas, even Western ideas of freedom, Western ideas of diversity. Right? They're going to be... These cultures reject these things, and when you bring in large numbers of people from those cultures, you can expect conflict. And to leave your people unarmed with no ability to defend themselves, I think is ludicrous. And again, I understand I grew up in America. I understand that I grew up in Texas most of my life, not all of it. I lived in other places, even before I was an adult. But to me, the idea that you're going to leave people defenseless like that, no ability to defend themselves, is not a free country. When you're reliant completely upon your government to defend you, you are basically the property of your government. Unarmed people are slaves. They're peasants. And even nobility in Europe always understood that. They always chose to disarm those they wanted to impose harsher leadership over. That was always a strategy. It was always known. And free men have always been armed, or people with any sort of power have always been armed. You only disarm peasants. You only disarm people you want to control. And yet it's been successfully done in Europe. And now there's finally some backlash. There is backlash. And I think we as Americans, we need to support that. When you see countries and members of people in countries that are having major problems with violent immigrants, violent refugees, who are having to illegally arm themselves, things that we consider to be a basic human right in the United States, the ability to arm yourself, to defend yourself, the ability to even overthrow a government with your weapons if they become too oppressive, we consider that to be a basic human right. We recognize that. It's recognized in our Constitution. When you see people in allied countries of ours like that who are having to do that, we need to support them. We need to speak out and say, look, these people are having to break the law in their country for a basic human right. They're having to break laws for a basic human right. And at a certain point, we need to use our leverage as a country to tell their leadership, look, this is something that's a basic human right, and you're denying it to your people, and they're having to break the laws to do it. You need to change this. This is a problem. If we want to stay allies, this is something that you're going to need to address. We would like to hear you address this, and let's get some responses on this. Let's get into some dialogue with this. But we need to be supporting these people in this. We definitely need to be supporting them because our Second Amendment is a basic human right, the right to self-defense. And it's been denied to many of these first world countries who are close allies of ours. It's been denied to them. And it's insane that they have to actually break laws to do this. You know, and especially in these countries like this that make amazing firearms. Like you see countries like Germany, Austria, Belgium make some of the finest firearms in the world. We all know this. I mean, all my Glocks are Austrian. H&K is German. FNH is Belgian. Why are these countries, these people having to find illegal black market firearms just to defend themselves? Just to defend themselves. It's just insane. And of course, we are far further right in the U.S. and in Europe, and so I guess our views would be seen as right-wing, but at a certain point, you know, we have close allies like that in Europe who we are seeing a right-wing resurgence. You are seeing right-wingers speaking out. They're trying to regain control of their governments. We need to support those people, all right? We need to support those people because they are developing ideas that would be more American. They're pushing further away from the left. And while we are stamping this stuff out in the U.S. as we voted and put all right-wing people into power now, as we stamp this garbage out, this left-wing garbage in our own country, we do need to be looking abroad to our allies and be looking at countries who are having a bigger struggle with these same things than we are, because they really are struggling in Europe. And we need to show our support for them. We need to be showing our support for people who are right-wing, people who are wanting to arm themselves and practice basic rights of self-defense, people who are wanting to protect their own countries, their own ways of life from this crazy leftist agenda to import large numbers of people from cultures that are not compatible with their own. Because it really is hurting people now over there at this point. And we need to be seeing that ourselves and realize the example that has been set. And that's when we have to say we're not going to allow what they've done over there to happen here. We have to put our foots down and we have to, you know, worry about ourselves first. We absolutely have to. But we do need to be showing support for people over there who are going through the struggle that the left here wants to put us through. We can see these people actually going through it over there, and we do need to offer them at least moral support. And maybe at a certain point, other support as well. Maybe our government step in, maybe our firearm manufacturers step in and consider getting over there and getting guns to these people and selling them to them. You know, because it is that important. And these people should not have to break the law to have a basic human right. And it's just crazy that they're being forced to do that when their own government is creating threats for them, importing threats that put their very lives and everything in danger every single day. They're importing this threat, and then they want to deny them the ability to defend themselves and then treat them like criminals when they take whatever action is necessary to do so. It is just insane. And the expression we have in the United States, and even the police officers here have, it's better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6. And what that means is that it's better to stand trial for potentially breaking a law and being judged by a jury of 12 people than it is to be carried in a coffin by 6 people. That's what the expression means. And we're seeing that over there in a very, very real way. A very real way. And it's understandable that these people feel this way. It's understandable that people are scared over there now with everything that's going on, that they're having to break the law. They're willing to break the law in large numbers just to defend themselves. And it's not even unreasonable for them at this point. And hopefully a lot of Europe wakes up to this enough that you're going to see a lot of their firearm rights restored. There's already talk in the UK now with the Brexit thing of them at least restoring handgun rights in the United Kingdom. Maybe they're not talking about their full firearm rights, but at least their handgun rights. And that's a start. And we need to see a lot more of this happening. And we need to offer our support, our moral support, as Americans for people in Europe who are trying to strive to get their own firearm rights restored. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.